and welcome to Meet the Authors. I am Dr. Sharon H. Porter, CEO of Perfect Time SHP Publishing and Editor-in-Chief of Vision and Purpose Lifestyle Magazine. Get excited because this evening you will be meeting 6 of the 9 authors in the What Now Mindset Volume 1 book collaboration. But before we introduce our authors, I must introduce the dynamic project manager for this collaboration, Ms. Dawn Bornheimer. Great evening, Dawn.
Hi, Sharon. I'm so excited to be here and to be here with the authors. Such wonderful women, and I'm so excited to share a little bit with all of you tonight. My name is Dawn Bornheimer. I'm the Chief Movement Officer for the What Now movement. I am also a sales executive, mentor to emerging leaders, and I have the opportunity not to be once, but twice published myself. So super excited to help these ladies become published authors today.
Awesome, awesome. And so I'm really so excited because right now you can get the ebook on Amazon for 99 cents. That's right, 99 cents. Now, very shortly after this broadcast ends, the price will change. It will no longer be available for 99 cents. It will still be available, but not for 99 cents. So please go to Amazon. We will put the link in the chat. We want you to go there, download, purchase, download, leave a review. All of these amazing stories for these authors. So we're really excited. And so, Dawn, we're going to go ahead and get started because I know they're not here to see us. They want to see the authors. So please, if you would, begin our introductions.
All right, ladies. So I'm going to have you introduce yourself. So I'm just going to say briefly a little bit about you from me, and then you guys can go ahead and introduce yourselves. So Jana, I'm going to start with you. I had the pleasure of meeting Jana through a mentoring program, and we became fast friends and have done some great work together. And she is one of our contributing authors. Jana, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi there, everybody. Such a pleasure to be in this room with all of these fantastic people tonight. I'm Jana Holcomb, and a few things about me. I am a senior enlisted leader in the Air National Guard. I'm also a federal employee. I'm a mom of 2 awesome girls and also a military spouse. So we move around a lot. We do a lot of things, and just really happy to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jana. Kristen, you're up. I am so grateful that you are here, my friend. We used to work together many moons ago and have maintained our friendship and our love for running. I'm so glad that you are back out there as well. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Dawn. It's so great to be here with you and all these other fantastic women. I'm delighted to be part of this project. I am a very experienced educational leader at this point. Verging on close to 30 years, I guess, in the field, which is pretty crazy to think about, but held a lot of different positions and now find myself in learning leadership and in curriculum design and team leadership, which I love so much, in mentoring younger employees and people just getting started and transitioning out of maybe the classroom into ed tech as a career. So I am also a mom, also a military spouse, although my husband has retired. And now find myself, keeping him busy. We have 3 kids and my oldest is now married and out of the house. And so I'm finding myself in a lot of transitions in many different ways. And so I'm really excited to tell my story as part of this team. Thanks so much.
Beautiful. Thanks, Chris. Xavier, you're up next. I had the pleasure of meeting you through a mutual friend, Kim LaMontagne, who does some beautiful work in the world around mental health. And I'm so grateful to have you here. Tell us about yourself.
Thanks, Dawn. I'm excited to be here too and be here with so many amazing authors and be a part of this project. My name is Xavier, and I am the founder of a local nonprofit called the Tommy Carell Memorial Foundation after our son, Tommy. I am a wife. I have 2 beautiful children, and I'm also a Gigi to a beautiful little 7-year-old. But people that know me know that I am just very passionate and active, working to support and help individuals that are dealing with mental health challenges or families who have been affected by suicide loss. So that's what I just love to do, is help other people in that aspect.
Beautiful. Thank you for being here. Steph, I'm going to have you hop in next. Steph and I had the pleasure of meeting through a mutual friend and a leadership immersion retreat. We loved it so much. We both went back twice. and have become friends ever since. So Steph, tell us about yourself.
Oh my goodness, yes, thank you. I'm Steph Annie, and I am the founder of Insightful Annie. I really focus on trauma-informed healing, and I'm very passionate about speaking on mental health and advocacy, and really reshaping what the status quo is of what love is and how to show up in a relationship.
Beautiful. Thanks, Steph. All right, Lori Curtis, you're up next. Lori and I had the pleasure of working together for many years as well, and I'm so grateful that she is ready to share her story and join us on this book project. Lori, tell us about yourself.
Thank you so much, Dawn. It is a pleasure being here this evening and being in the presence of these wonderful ladies. I am excited to share my story. Just a little bit about me. I am a management professional leader in the education field. I am also a mom of two big people, and I'm a former student athlete and coach, and I am also the founder and owner of LG Curtis Real Estate Services.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lori. And last but not least, Trina. I'm so glad that you're here tonight. Trina and I met through a group called Unconventional Leaders, and we had the opportunity to spend an immersive year together, brainstorming and learning and connecting. And I'm so grateful that she said yes to this project. Trina, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you. It really is a joy to be here tonight and to just kind of be in the same virtual room with all of you. I'm a leadership development consultant and trainer. My passion area is helping women just gain this indomitable confidence through empowered self-defense. And what that is really just the mindset of personal safety. So situational awareness, threat assessment, and boundary setting. I am a mom of 4 grown children, the best parts in my world, except for the brand new granddaughter. And really happy that she has joined our family. And I'm an avid hiker, kayaker. I love to do anything outside. And as Dawn knows, every bit of that involves my dog, Ronan, just the blue heeler extraordinaire. So happy to be here tonight.
Beautiful. Thank you, Trina.
You know I love the fur babies. Thank you so much, authors. Just so excited to have you here. We're just going to dive into it. This is just a conversation. This is the first peek at your chapters. People have already begun purchasing and downloading, so they're reading probably as they're watching. So this is a great time to give a little insight on the chapters. So my first question, and it will be for each of you, and I'll simply just call you, but tell us first of all what your chapter title is, and then what does it mean? And let's start with Xavier.
Well, my chapter title is called Finding Purpose in the Pain. And that is because I was encountered with the worst pain that I ever experienced in my life thus far when I lost my son, Tommy, to suicide in 2014. And I was faced to either let it crush me or find a purpose. And I chose to allow it to ignite a purpose in me. And I've been nonstop ever since, just honoring him and moving forward in that purpose.
Wow, thank you for that. Thank you. Lori Curtis.
Yes, so the title of my chapter is My Choice. I think there are times that we run into situations that we are not able to control, but I think we have to switch our mindset, if you will, to think that regardless of what's going to occur or what happens to you, that you have a choice in how you deal with it. And for me, I am writing about my daughter who is autistic. So I talk a little bit about how I managed and navigated, that dealing with the issues that she was going through and what our family would face.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Steph Annie.
Yes, the chapter of my story is called First Steps of Freedom, and really it is about my experience in a very emotional, sexually abusive relationship, and when I was finally released from it, what I chose to do and how it really affected my identity and how I chose to shift out of that and figure out who I was.
Wow. Listen, all of the so far, I know you cannot wait to dive in to these chapters. Thank you all so much. So let's go with Trina.
Yes. So my chapter is called Holding Together, and that's exactly the perfect description of what you have to do when you lose your spouse. And it was a sudden loss for me. So writing about that experience, very Brene Brown level vulnerability, and just sharing about what that means moving forward to really understanding my own identity now and my purpose, my responsibility to move forward and do that even stronger, because I know that's exactly what he would want for me. He was always my biggest supporter. So this was a bittersweet essay to write.
Wow. Thank you. And ladies, I just want to, first of all, thank you for your vulnerability, because I know this could not have been the easiest thing to do. Writing this. So we really appreciate you sharing and bearing all in this book collaboration. Miss Jana.
Thank you. My chapter is called More Than Meets the Eye, and it's a bit of a play on words because my chapter is about the discovery shortly after the birth of my second child of a tumor behind my right eye, which was causing vision loss. And ultimately it caused the vision loss. I had brain surgery shortly after that. And I ended up with a visible disability, which was something that was very difficult to deal with. And I really questioned my self-worth. But in my chapter, I talk about my journey through that and my journey to gratitude and trying to find the good in the experience that I had had. So thank you.
Wow, thank you. And certainly, last but not least, Kristen.
Hi there. The title of my chapter is Don't Worship the Thorn, which is a reference to the biblical Apostle Paul, who asked God to remove this thorn. And it's never really identified what this thorn is. And it probably doesn't matter because, essentially God's response is, you don't have to bear it. I'm with you. I'll bear it with you. And so my son was diagnosed with a genetic eye condition that is slowly causing him to lose his vision from the inside out. So he sees peripherally really well, but not so much in the middle. And so has at this point lost the ability to recognize faces and things like that. And so over the last decade, our family has changed a lot in response to that. It was something that we never saw coming, not to be punny, but not certainly anything that we had any experience with. And so being able to kind of navigate that as a family changed us quite a bit, and actually for the better, which I never would have thought was possible at the time. But instead of making the thorn bigger than it was, we, just decided that, you have a thorn, but you don't have to make it the focus of your life, right? You can learn to work around it, learn to work with it. As many of the other authors have said, these are big circumstances that show up uninvited, and what you do with that is so important. And our family chose to say yes a lot more than no, and that has made it so much easier and so much better in the long run.
I am so grateful for all of you. I just want to honor each of you for what you've already shared and what I know is inside this book. I asked you to come with your whole heart, and you truly did that. You showed up with your whole heart and your willingness to serve and the opportunity to share a part of your life that can ultimately help serve and heal others. One of the things that I know for sure, working in mental health, and Xavier can attest to this, is one of the goals is always to make sure people understand they're not alone in their struggle. And I think the things that you are willing to share in this book is giving people the opportunity to feel seen, and to know that they're not alone. And so each of you have shared something from your personal life, and I recognize that that comes with some challenge, right? The willingness to push the edges a little bit, and the willingness to share just a little deeper, recognizing that you want to reach that one person who needs to be seen, and feel that they're not alone. And I know that you've done that. You've done that for me as I've had the opportunity to read your stories. So my question really for each of you is just to ask that, in writing the story and recognizing that you wanted to reach someone that you wanted to help serve in some way, who would that persona be? Who would be the person that you're hoping to reach? Is it another mom? Is it another significant other? Is it someone who is also dealing with something similar, someone who's experienced something similar? So if you could just share with me, it doesn't have to be an actual person, just so much as the idea of a person that you thought of that you would truly be able to reach or serve when you were doing this project. Chris, do you have, would you mind starting?
Yeah, I think for me, it would be another mom, that's facing sort of an unknown diagnosis. When my son, said he couldn't see the board, we figured he was like the rest of us when we all wear glasses, and it didn't seem to be that big of a deal. And it looked like what we were facing could have been, neurological and really quite tragic. And fortunately, that was not what our story was. But I know sitting in that moment, just wondering what the future held, it felt so big and so scary. And I think, knowing that there's other moms, other dads, other caregivers that have gone through that would have been super valuable to me. There wasn't the same sort of resources that there are now, even in social media, for all the bad that it causes. It does certainly allow communities of rare disease to make contact across the world. And so I think for those parents, I spent a lot of time trying to reach into those groups and those first scary moments when you don't know what the diagnosis is, and then after the diagnosis and kind of sitting with that and what that means for your family. I think that's probably, the person that I had on my heart was the mom I was 10 years ago when I just wasn't sure, and all of the research and all of the access that I had to wonderful medical professionals because of my employment, it was still rare and still unknown. And there was really just nobody that could speak to me like another mom could. So that's who I'm hoping to reach.
Thank you, Chris. That's beautiful. Steph, same question. Your thoughts on who you were hoping to reach through sharing your story?
I was really hoping to reach a couple different categories of audience members, really. Any human who is currently in an abusive relationship, so that they can understand that their identity is not, it's a choice, really, like it's a subconscious choice, but it's not attached to their relationship. They are an individual, and hoping to inspire that sense of self, and ignite pivoting. And then also an individual who's no longer in, maybe they're no longer in that emotionally abusive or sexually abusive or abusive relationship or toxic relationship, and they're trying to figure out, what do I do now? Where do I go from here? Because I don't want what I had, but I know that there's something within me that I need to pivot or change. And also there's always that tertiary where it's also for individuals. I really would love to be able to impact individuals who maybe they're not in abusive relationships, maybe that's not their current dynamic, but they know people who are, or maybe that who are maybe abusive. And so being able to speak to those individuals with love and understand, coming from a space of understanding a little bit more that there are layers to what goes into a relationship like that, and personalities, and just individuality. So that's really who I'm hoping to impact them all, honestly.
Beautiful.
Right, that conversation.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Xavier, who do you hope to reach through sharing your story?
For me, it's kind of multiple levels as well. The first thing that I wanted to reach was just anybody that's experiencing pain, or is going through any type of pain, because I feel like no matter what, pain is different for each individual. And so my, story is about when you're in that pain, sometimes your greatest pain can become your biggest purpose. And sometimes, one person said to me this way, they said sometimes your deepest pain can become your greatest destiny. And I believe that is true, that when we're in pain, if we look for the opportunity, if we look for the purpose, if we look for even the blessing in it sometimes, which sounds weird to say, you can come through it stronger and create a purpose and a destiny you never even imagined. I'm doing things and having opportunities I never thought would be a part of my life or my story at all before losing my son. But I also, it's meant to reach people who are struggling with their own mental health challenges, because I share about my own experience of struggling with mental health after finding my son the day he took his life. And then also things that we can do if people don't know what to do when they have someone in their life that they lost to suicide, or a family member that they know that is experiencing that. Just some things that you can do to support them and help them. So I would say those are my three categories, is just, families that have experienced loss to suicide, and or individuals who are going through mental health challenges, and anybody really who is experiencing a painful time in their life.
No, thank you. And it's just a beautiful reminder, as each of you are starting to answer this question, that there are so many ways we can reach people, and there's so many connections that people can make to your story. And it's not going to be just one singular connection. And so thank you so much for, writing something that's going to reach so many different individuals. Jana, who do you hope to reach through sharing your story?
So I think just as with other folks who've shared so far, that there are multiple layers to everyone's story, to whom we want to reach. But I think that my main focus really fell onto wanting everyone who reads this story to shift their perspective a bit, to think about what it might be to live in another person's shoes for just a moment. And understand, particularly on the topic of disabilities, that not all disabilities are seen, and that everyone has different experiences, and to try to have compassion for everyone, because none of us knows what the people around us are going through on a day-to-day basis, what struggles we might have. And that's not just about disability, that could be a plethora of other things. So really it's about compassion, and it's about caring for others around you, and kindness, really.
Beautiful, thank you. Lori Curtis.
Thank you. I think on its face, my story would seem to apply to parents with children or family members that have a special need. But for me, I really wanted to focus on the fact, and it's something that I write in this story, but it also applies to other areas of my life. And that is, you really do, despite what happens, you have a choice in how you respond to it. And you could either go with the flow, or you could, bury yourself and, really struggle with it. And I'm hoping that it's a source of encouragement, that despite what you might deal with, that in making that choice, that's the first step, the choice to do, make a decision to, find a new job, the choice to, if after losing a job, the choice to dealing with some medical issues that you might be dealing with. If you change the mindset, you change your view of the situation, and it allows you to move through that situation and hopefully find a better outcome for yourself, for your family, for your friends. And then I think for me also, it shows just how my faith has played such an important part in where I am and where I hope to be. And that if I lean on my faith, I know that I will be okay in the end. And it also shows that when you make that choice, you are truly stronger than you think. So it's really a story for everyone. While it's about my daughter and how I dealt with that situation, the bigger picture in my mind is overcoming whatever the obstacle is that you might be facing and recognizing that you are stronger, you can handle it. There may be moments, but you get back up and you keep moving forward. So it's about persevering, it's about being resilient, it's about overcoming. And that's something, again, that I think that not only in one situation, it can be something that you can use as a tool to get through whatever situations you might be dealing with.
Beautiful, Lori. Thank you so much. Looks like we may have lost Trina, Dr. Sharon, for a few minutes. Her connection might have dropped. So I do see we have a question in the chat from somebody who's joining us live. If you want to read that question out loud, maybe we can move to that question next.
Yes, viewer Tiffany asks, what was the hardest challenge for each of you writing something so vulnerable from your life? Kristen, if you can start us off with that.
The hardest thing, I think, was trying to tie it all together, honestly, because I think especially as women, you know, you go to the office place, and when you've had, you know, success and sort of pecking your way up the career ladder, and you have sort of this persona that you have in the office, and then your personal life is in shambles, or can appear to be, right? And sort of squaring the two together, where even writing the story where I know what I was feeling at the time, but I know what I was doing at the time, right? I was making sure everything was done. I was hitting my quotas. I was servicing my clients. I was doing a really good job in the office. And then I was, you know, privately saying, I have this all together. I've got it all together. But then, you know, that wasn't reality, right? The reality was my heart was trying to figure out how was I going to best tend to our family dynamic while also, you know, knowing that my career mattered to me and to my family, frankly, and, you know, sort of trying to tie it all together in a neat package where it felt honest and reflective of where I was at the time and how I really did want it to be encouraging, you know, similar to what Lori said, right? Like, you know, you're faced with this thing and you have a decision to make, and ultimately I want in making those decisions and being honest. And I was very fortunate to have leadership around me that understood and saw me for the human that I was and not just what I contributed to the business at the time where I was. And so I think it's a rather long way of saying, I think just tying everything together in a way that still felt reflective, where you know, it's just very hard, I think, to put the painful parts of your life in. I mean, I've told the story a million times, but to write it down and see it like in so many characters and then try to tie it together with all the other pieces that you wanted to kind of be sure that it didn't sound desperate, because it really wasn't. I just really needed to kind of figure out how to sort it together so that it felt, you know, like me.
So for me personally, when it came to what was difficult about writing something so vulnerable, in all honesty, for the months leading up to this opportunity to collaborate on this book, I had actually been feeling this great urge to share my story. It's only a few years old, this story of mine, and it's something that I still deal with every single day. And so I've been feeling this urge to share. And so serendipitously, the universe conspired to bring all this to fruition, which is awesome. But I think probably the most difficult part really was picking which part of the story to tell, because ultimately when you're writing a piece like this, it's there's a limit to it. And my story is much bigger than just this lovely part that's in the book, but there's more to it. And so really it was trying to figure out what my goal was and what I really wanted to share with people and what I thought would be impactful for individuals who are reading it.
I can go next. For me, I think the hardest part was giving it enough justice. I don't know how to say that appropriately, but there's just so much to the story. And there's, when I share my story and any part of my story and this part that's in the book, I have to share the most painful, horrible circumstance of my life, but then also try to show that even through that and in that there have been blessings and things that have come out of it. And I look back now and, I would do anything to change those circumstances and have my son still here today, but also being able to see and know and believe that even when bad things happen, good things can come out of it. And how to keep that focus through even the bad parts of the story, right? Because it's really hard to share those without bringing people down. But the whole point of the story is to show people that you can get through it. You can do something good out of the situation. And so that was the biggest challenge for me, is it's like how much to put in there to balance it out so that it stayed on a very positive, inspiring, encouraging note, because that's what I'm about, right? But you have to you have to share the bad parts too, but in a way that it all presents itself in a positive and encouraging way in the end of it. So that was my biggest challenge, and just making sure that I gave, it's very difficult to write so much in such a small section. And you could probably write 50 stories, right? Because there's all these different parts, but it was trying to manage it to where I was able to share what needed to be shared, but in a way that I kept it also very encouraging and inspiring, because that's what that's what I'm about. And that's what the story is about.
I absolutely resonate with what so many of these authors are sharing as far as the hardest challenge when really sharing something that is really vulnerable. When I was first invited to the opportunity, the potential of writing and sharing, I already knew, I got a gut hit of what it was that I was going to share. And I think that really reflecting the challenge that I ran into was, how do I acknowledge the level of abuse or the level of pain that I was experiencing and that I had identified within my relationship, while then communicating that pivot, because the pivot and the sense of work and the support that came after that came, that was the what now moment, really wouldn't, we don't know if it would have happened that same way if it hadn't had been so intense and so deep, but without, placing blame or really going in on, what that was. I really wanted it to focus on, what was the choice, what was the moment, and then what was the pivot, without disregarding or dismissing the brevity and weight of what I had experienced.
Great. So for me, the hardest part actually was not writing or sharing my story. The hardest part was for me was making the decision to do it. So I've shared my story many times, and the story that I shared in the book is just a portion of who Lori is and some of the things Lori has gone through. And I've shared that with Dawn many times, and she was always gentle with me. Just let me know when you're ready to share your story. So I made that decision at the end of 2020 that I'm going to share my story. And Jana, just like you, everything aligned. Dawn reached out and I said, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. So that wasn't writing it wasn't the difficult part. I actually enjoyed writing it, just getting my thoughts. And to be honest, I had been thinking about how I would write it for years. So it was easy once I made the decision to do it. It just flowed from there. I think what was the hardest part, once I started writing it, I went in with the thought and a prayer that I really want my story to be a blessing to someone else. I want to be an example of, yes, difficult things occur, but hey, I've been able to get through it. If I can get through it, you can get through it. And here's how I did it. So that was the difficult part. I wanted to just make sure that I said it in such a way that was clear and concise. And as I said, would bless someone else and show someone else that there is victory on the other side.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for all of those shares. So one of the things that I know everyone here enjoys and also recognizes that I also love is expressing gratitude. And so I'm going to ask each of you to share a little bit of moment of gratitude for someone who helped you navigate through and beyond the what now moment that you are sharing in this book contribution. So who was part of your village, right? We have our village that helps us get through. And who is that one, one or more people? It can be a collection of people, but I'd really love to just hear an expression of gratitude from each of you regarding, who helped you move through that moment and moved forward and beyond as you continue to thrive beyond that moment in time, because you've all done such a beautiful job, but I know you didn't do it alone. And I think it's a beautiful opportunity to acknowledge some of those folks for you. Steph, would you be open to starting?
Yes, I would be open to starting. I love this. I love this opportunity. Thank you. I definitely have immense gratitude, and I would not be where I am or who I am today. I wouldn't have transcended that experience had I not had my best friend and my person, Coral, and their husband, Sean, by my side and championing me, providing me a safe space. Wow. Yeah, that's all of my gratitude. And it is unending for their presence in my life. Nikki was a specialist that I worked with, really taught me psychological safety and how to return to myself, that invitation, what that even meant. My twin sister, Tiffany, she showed up for me. She was one of the first people to recognize the abuse patterns in my relationship. And although I didn't heed her advice at the time, I'm deeply grateful for her presence and her advocacy and her wisdom. That is the core group of who really, I mean, it is a village, like you said, and it's ever evolving. I'm so grateful for it. Those key people really supported me in my pivot.
Beautiful. Thank you, Steph. Jana?
Sure.
Got it? There you go.
Sorry about that. Just as with what Steph said, it really is a village, right? And how do you quantify all of these people who are involved in helping you get through that, whether it's a what now moment or a what now year or whatever it ends up being. But I think first and foremost, I would thank my husband and express gratitude for his support and his undying love. He really did. He was there for me through and through all of the good and the bad and the ugly. And I couldn't have asked for a better partner for that period of my life. And beyond that, family, friends who helped out with the babies, who helped out just in supporting me by showing their support. in so many different ways. And then also my former boss, my boss at the time that all of this was happening, Ron and his wife, Amy, were extremely supportive, and at work was one of the most difficult places for me to be during this whole thing. And he really made me feel seen. He made me feel important, and that to him, I felt like nothing had changed. Like I was the same person that I was a few months prior. And because when I looked in the mirror, that's not what I saw, but he made me feel that. So I feel lots of gratitude for that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right. So for me, I mean, first and foremost, I'm so grateful for the faith foundation that I had to get me through this most difficult point in my life. My husband and my daughter, they were my rocks. My husband was there and strong for me when I couldn't be strong for myself. My daughter is just, she's everything that I could hope to be, and seeing strength and perseverance and, you know, purpose, even though she was at such a young age when this happened. She was in high school, but she's, you know, even just up till today, she continues to support me and stand by my side through everything that we do. They were there from the very beginning when I said I had this crazy idea that I wanted to, you know, create this foundation, along with my good friend Anne and Crystal, who have been there from the very start of our foundation and the work that we've been doing, and have been cheering me on every time I get, you know, to a point where I'm just like, I can't do this anymore, and I feel like I can't go on. They're the ones that continue to push me to write and continue to push me to share and move forward. I'm extremely grateful for the therapists and the counselors that I've had throughout the years that still to this day continue to support me on my own journey when I need it. And I'm especially thankful for the hundreds of people that have shared their personal stories and journeys with me of their own mental health struggles or their own loss by suicide, because I feel like I have only gained a lot of the knowledge from listening to true real life stories of individuals. And that takes vulnerability and trust. And I'm so grateful for them that they trust me and share that with me. It's helped me understand what my son went through. It helps me feel like I'm not the only one going through what I'm going through. And it helps me be able to relate and help other people that are going through it as well. So I'm extremely grateful for each and every person that has shared their story and journey with me to help me on my journey.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I am grateful for my relationship with God. I don't think I would have been able to get through or deal with what I've had to deal with without that relationship. I am also grateful for my son. He's had to take a step back, and while I had to deal with Lauren, particularly when I lost my husband. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for all of the teachers, the doctors, the staff that have worked with Lauren, that have loved on my daughter, and that have supported me and our family. I'm grateful for just, my coworkers, my friends, and again, my family, for all of the support that they have given. We've said it before, it truly takes a village. And in our case, it really did take a village to get us through this journey. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would echo that as well. My relationship with God was only strengthened through this, even in a time when I wasn't sure whether it would be strengthened or weakened. It's something that I'm incredibly thankful for. And our church family has been our village and just really supported us through the whole time of diagnosis and the unknown, and sort of pivoting to a family with a child that needs more support. And so we were also very, very fortunate. There are a lot of families that have a child or an adult in this situation genetic vision loss, that their diagnosis is very delayed. I'm very thankful that we had a very quick diagnosis. It was probably within 6 weeks that we were accurately diagnosed, thanks to the staff at Mass Eye here in Boston, and being close enough. We're about 3 hours away, but in the catchment area, that's pretty close for a world-leading institution. And so we had a lot of people that were, I really believe, were divinely orchestrated to be right in the right place at the right time for us to show my 7-year-old that it could be cool to be blind. And he has never ceased to amaze me how he rolls with really terrible puns and humor to this day. You know, we were teasing him about going to college this fall, and I said, you know, maybe you'll find a sweet girlfriend. And he said, I don't see it, you know, like all of the time, all of these terrible puns. And so I really believe that was because right at the time of diagnosis, you know, we had the optician who fit him for his first set of glasses, made him feel so cool. And then Mass Eye Near had him do some fundraising where he interviewed some world-leading researchers on, you know, ocular genomics, and just made him feel involved in the process, and that it wasn't hopeless, and that it could be totally fine to roll with it. And I think because he could roll with it, then we could roll with it. You know what I mean? And it kind of rolled up through the family and into the community where, you know, to Jana's point earlier about gaining empathy and appreciation, that, you know, if vision loss is a spectrum, I had never really been close to somebody with, you know, who's legally blind, and he doesn't look any different than anybody else. You'd never know unless you asked him to read something, you know, and so I'm really grateful for the community and the people that helped him early on, that have continued to be our support system, but you know, but really have turned our family into something quite different than it was a decade ago in a very positive way.
Wow,
Beautiful.
wow. You know, first of all, I can't wait till the actual book comes, because I've read your stories, but it's nothing like turning the pages and reading it, because just this hour tonight has just touched me so. I again want to say thank you to the authors. We do have one last question before we share with our audience how people can reach out to you, how can they connect with you. What takeaways would you like the readers to have after reading your chapter? And Kristen, just you can go ahead, and since you're there.
The takeaway, you know, don't worship the thorn. Don't make it bigger than it is, and don't let it become bigger than it seems, right? It can grow out of control if you let it. And I think, you know, just take a step back and put it in its place. You're still the same great individual you were before, you know, this sort of uninvited pivot has shown up in your life. And I really want people to know that it's okay. It's okay to take something really scary and decide that it doesn't have to be that way, right? To make that choice. That everybody has echoed here. It's amazing how these stories all fit together. I too can't wait to read it. And I just hope that, you know, at the end of my chapter, you walk away going, wow, like that's really cool. Like people and like God showed up for her, and like I can do it too.
Wow. Lori?
Thank you. Gosh. I want to take away that you're stronger than you think. Again, going back to whatever you're dealing with, believe that you can get through it. And when you shift that mindset to that belief, anything is possible. You can make the situation whatever you want it to be. So it's your choice ultimately. In making that decision, but you are truly stronger than what you think.
Wow, I love that. Xavier?
Again, I think I already said it. I want people to walk away with the thought that even in their deepest pain can come their greatest purpose and their greatest destiny. And if they believe in that and trust it and lean into it, that you will get through it, you will come out better because of it, and learn so much through the process of who you are, become who you're meant to be through it.
Thank you. Jana?
Thanks. So I think I'd really like people to come away with a fuller understanding of those who are around them, of having empathy, and also feeling and knowing that one's self-worth is not tied to what a person looks like, what a person does for a living, or anything else like that. A person's worth is what is inside of them. And so kind of not judging a book by its cover, really, and having compassion and empathy for others, I think is the biggest takeaway.
Thank you for that. Stephanie.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read this book. I'm honored to share this space with all of you. Key takeaways that I would really love for the reader to receive from my story is similar, along the lines of what several authors said, really relaying what Jana said. As far as identity, your identity is not who you're with, it's not your relationship. And also, I would like this story to invite others to see what resources they're tapping into, and also acknowledge that you are your own resource. So we first and foremost get to lead the way on how we show up and what we choose to do, and that includes asking for help and looking for the right resources if we don't have that, and really understanding it does take that village, right? So it starts with us, and then in order to really overcome and tap into our resilience, it's inviting others to join us and support us when we need. And I really hope that those are some of the takeaways that the audience gets from my story.
Thank you so much. And by design, I did not at the beginning really talk about the title of the book, The What Now Mindset, but by now you know what that's all about, because truly I believe that everything starts with the mind. So a man thinketh, so is he. And I believe that. And so that's what these ladies have shared with you, that once you change your mindset, anything is possible, that you can get through anything, that nothing has to be a complete barrier to what you want to do. So I just want to say thank you again. And I do want to acknowledge the other authors. Dawn, I'm going to actually ask you to do that, please, because we do have 9 authors and 9 amazing stories. And so we do want to acknowledge the 3 that couldn't be with us this evening, but their stories are in there. Dawn.
Yeah, so I know Carly was away on a family vacation at the lake, and so she was getting her rest and recharge, which is well deserved. Leslie was traveling for business this evening, and she's on the West Coast, so sometimes time zones get a little tricky. And Lori Blatt is in the middle of a move, which I also was moving last week, so I have complete empathy for that. But I know that many people are going to join us for the summit on the 16th, so excited to have an authors panel that night, that day as well. So hopefully a good mix of authors will join us, and some of the ladies that you've met tonight and a few new faces will join us that day.
Absolutely. So exciting. And guys, also stay tuned because we do plan to make a few book signing stops. So it may be in a place near you. And so just definitely keep connected with these ladies, purchase a book from your author of choice, because as you can see, the stories are riveting. They have just opened up their hearts to share about this shift in mindset that they had to get through what they had. So ladies, we are going to end because I'm sure people want to know, how can I connect with them? How can I get in touch with them? And so Steph Ann, if you would kick that off for us, please share your contact information.
Absolutely. I can be contacted via Instagram. The handle is insightful_Annie, spelled just like it sounds. And then also on LinkedIn, same handle, Insightful Annie.
Thank you, Jana.
I can be found on LinkedIn, and it's Jana Holcomb, and I will paste that in the chat as well.
Awesome. Xavier.
I can be found on LinkedIn as well. I can also be found on Instagram. It's TCMF21, or also on Facebook, Tommy Carell Memorial Foundation. And we also have a website. It's TommyCarellMemorialFoundation.com that you can reach us through there as well.
Thank you. Lori?
Did you say Lori?
Yes.
I can be reached on LinkedIn at Lori Governor, Governor Curtis. Facebook would be the same name, Lori Governor Curtis. And if you have any specific questions, you can email me at info.laurie, LAURIE, Curtis.com.
And Kristen.
I am also at LinkedIn at Kristen Murner, and otherwise on Instagram and Twitter at Chris in Vermont, all one word.
Awesome. And Ms. Dawn Bornhammer, where can people reach out to you?
LinkedIn is probably the easiest, Dawn Marie Bornheimer, and I have the pleasure of being able to connect you with any of these ladies and the women that are not here this evening. So if you're having trouble reaching one of your authors and you would like to connect directly with them, please let me know and I'd be more than happy to assist you.
Awesome. Ladies, this has been a night to remember. I want to say thank you. I want to say congratulations on a job well done in these stories. You will undoubtedly connect, reach, and touch someone else. So thank you. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you. Purchase the ebook, purchase the print copy if you haven't already, and stay tuned for many, many more events from the What Now Mindset book collaboration. Have a great evening.